What's up? What's up? All the goons on a Friday, special Frank Bay edition. Get a chance to do a live here, go through the news, notes, and rumors. The special is Usyk for Benavidez. Is it a reality? Is it fantasy? Is Frank Bay delusional? We're going to cut through that. We're also going to flambe, as you heard, Floyd Money Mayweather. He's back in the news, right? It is official. Supposedly. I mean, who knows, right? Is it official? Is it really going down? We shall see. That's the thing with boxing, right? We just had a fight fall through. It looks like Rasim Aleem and Angelo Leo's off. But let's bust it down, break an intro, and we'll get right back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're back. Frank Bay, let's get Frank Bay back in the algorithm. Let's push this shit. Like, subscribe, share. I do my best to bring the realest that you've seen or you heard. It's a Friday. It's a Friday before Mother's Day. Call your madre. Say, hey, Ma, how you doing? Take her out. Get her a nice gift. She brought you in this world, right? But we're talking some boxing. Man. Nothing better in the world, right? Talking some boxing. I will drop the link for y'all. But we're talking boxing. And the big news. Benavidez versus Alexander Usyk. Who wants to see it? Now I'm telling you right now, I want to see it. At first, when I first heard it, I said, nah. Ain't no way in hell this happens. This is a fantasy fight. Pure fantasy. There's no way David Benavidez takes the risk and go fights Alexander Usyk. And then I'm thinking, hey man, Alexander Usyk, what the hell? Why would he have this fight? Ain't nothing in it for him. He ain't gonna get no credit. I said, nah. There ain't no way. But guess who? Guess what? Usyk, he put it out there, right? Didn't he put it out there? This is the fight that he wanted. What do you guys think, man? Now, I know tomorrow we got Fabio Wardley. No, Matador. Thank you, Matador. Thank you. Salute. Nobody gives a crap about gay weather, gay exhibition fight. That's the crazy thing, man. That's the crazy thing, Matador, I don't know if you're on X. I don't know if you're on Twitter X. I put it out there. I'm like, is it a real fight? Man, he kicks his ass, because I can't stand Mayweather. I can't stand Flomos. And, I already got the Flomos at my head. You don't know shit. You a broke mofo, because he put out this footage, right? Let me see if I can find it. He put out this footage, and it's just, he looks terrible. He looks absolutely terrible. There he is. Look, like he's fighting a midget. Fraud Mayweather is fighting a midget in there. It's disgusting. I mean, I guess he got an exhibition coming up, and there it is. Look, this guy. What is he doing? Who is this guy? I mean, I guess somebody said it was on X or Twitter, and people are like, "Oh, what?" Or no, it was in BDA Discord. Salute BDA at a show. Go check him out this morning. And King Bucho, yeah. Bucho keeps it lit. And they're saying it was Chief. I think he said, what happened to Mike Tyson? I said, I think it's just it was Fugazi. It was never a reality. Mike Tyson versus Fraud Mayweather Jr. It was all poppycock. We fight all night low. Yeah, the YouTube, the Twitter, all this shit is nothing without the chat. Because they were roasting this guy. Somebody said, who is Floyd fighting? The security? I mean, the jokes are endless. He looks like, who's that? The Hunchback of Notre Dame? Look, I'm not gonna even begin to dig into this. This is insane. It's ridiculous. But this is the level of TBE, right? This is a level that they've fallen to, they succumbed to. You know, they said Floyd was broke. I don't pocket watch any man. I don't get into. I don't look, man. I'm not on here actively seeing Floyd isn't broke. Yeah, I'm getting that by the Flomos. They say, yo, what do they say? You're pocket watching. You're a hater. Whatever, right? I mean, I'm trolling them, right? Like, it's the funnest thing in the world to troll these Flomos. They live vicariously through their hero, right? But it's official, right? The fight is official. They announced it. I guess the Flomos, they can live in the glory of Manny Pacquiao again. I mean, Fraud Mayweather, they can live in his glory because it looks like it's official. This is beyond embarrassing. King Bucho. I mean, damn, man. I mean, look, this is what this guy's hero. This was their hero. This was the boxing equivalent of Tom Brady, right? Floyd Mayweather. I always call him Fraud Mayweather, but I'm gonna call him Floyd Mayweather, right? I'll keep his name. He was the equivalent of Babe Ruth, Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, this guy was the guy. Who that? See, you guys cracked me up. Yeah, right. It's the clone Joe Rogan. I don't know. People said he looked like security, the bodyguard, the help. I mean, it's just insane how far this guy has fallen. You know, the rounds are going around with Adrian Broner. Have you guys seen Adrian Broner on Kick with Dean the Great or whatever that shit is? And this is what happens to these guys, man. It's sad. It's truly sad. I'm not, you know, I don't say sad. Sad sounds like I'm coping or being a virtue signaler. I find it hilarious. I think there's nothing fitting. But it is embarrassing. I mean, you'd have to be embarrassed, right? I mean, this guy was Tom Brady. He was Babe Ruth, Sugar Ray Robinson, all wrapped in one. And now you're this is what you've come to. I don't get it. And people still support it. Believe this is Telk. I'm not gonna even try to pronounce your shit. Benavidez will be using kickboxing versus Floyd. Easy DQ win. I have no idea. I have no interest. I don't know where you watch this. Where are we supposed to pay for this? I have no idea, right? It was supposed to be like there was like different names they were saying they were throwing out there, and it was like Mike Tyson and Zimbabwe or some nonsense, right? But this is what Floyd Mayweather has come to. And, you know, the announcement, I guess it is a done deal. If you guys confirm, it is a done deal that Floyd Mayweather will be fighting Manny Pacquiao. They had said the Sphere was like Netflix, and the Sphere, it was like this massive deal, right? And that's not happening. It's not happening in the Sphere. I mean, they said it costs like hundreds of $1,000s a minute. It's insane how much they said it would cost to happen in the Sphere. So that's not happening. Who knows where it's going to happen? You know, it could happen in a circus. I don't know. Who cares, right? Like, no, I can't see them charging thousands of dollars like they think they're going to be able to do. Frank Suppin, Technique, thank you. Hit the like, subscribe, share, let people know. Ron here, flambang. We're going through the boxing news today. And don't forget, there is a fight tomorrow. There was 2 fights, but Fabio Wardley, Dubois in the afternoon, morning, depending on which side of the country you're on, in the stateside. And then Angelo Leo was supposed to fight Rasheem Aleem, and that's a no-go. Well, Aleem didn't make weight by 2 pounds, I believe. So Angelo Leo screwed. So slow boxing weekend, and I believe Zuffa. There's a Zuffa card. Why is that getting no buzz? It's a legend. Sugar Shane Mosley Jr. is fighting, I believe, Sergey Bokachek on Sunday. Not sure if you guys will be tuned in. I'm picking Dubois. You know what, man? I want to see Dubois go out. You know, I'm kind of a great show by BDA. They were cooking this morning, him and Never Sobers. highly entertaining. It was funny, man. They were doing some comedy specials. You butchered bro named badly. Who? Fabio or Floyd or Bohachuk? Hey man, are you the grammar police? I butcher shit on purpose. How about that? You know, because I flip flop. I try to make their name sound stupid funny, you know, but I end up sounding like an idiot. But look, man, don't hold me to the fire, all right? You say how you use potato, right? They say English is the hardest language. But yes, Sugar Shane Mosley is fighting. But, you know, Carlos Adames is calling a Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia is a name, you know. Salute. We haven't even been talking about Jaime Munguia. Nobody talked about Jaime Munguia at all. It's crazy, man. He's an afterthought. I'm just messing, bro. Keep cooking. Yeah, man. You know I flambe. Look, man, we are one. We are one. I'm nothing without you. You're nothing without me. No, I mean, you could be anywhere, right? So that's what I mean. Zuffa Boxing has all that money and don't promote their cards. What a shame. Well, they have a plan, man. I mean, they have a plan. You know, the rumors, I was gonna get on that, but since you bring it up, Devin Haney is in the news for apparently $100 million. I'm calling bullshit, right? Freud is picking midgets in his exhibition. Skull, thank you. Hit the like, subscribe if you're not already. It seems you guys want to talk about Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. That is the hot topic, I guess. You know, but let's do it. Let's do it, man. It's your guys' show, man. I'm just here to facilitate. Frank Salutis, thank you, Impala. Appreciate it. It's a Friday afternoon edition. You know, Mother's Day weekend, so call Madre. Say, Mom, I love you. I couldn't have did it without you. And all you mofos with no daddies, Mama was the mommy and the daddy. No, you know, mothers are stronger than men are stronger than women. I mean, women are stronger than men, right? In that sense that they can raise children alone. So call your mom, man. Don't be a hater. Take your mom out to brunch and, you know, celebrate her. I'm a little tipsy, right? Can you tell? Because I went and had a Mother's Day brunch. Firas Munguia, who wins? Shit, man. That's an interesting fight. Shiraz. Zuffa cards are mid so far. You know what, man? I'm not going to call them. It's boxing. How about that? Technique, I understand, but it's boxing on a Sunday. I can get boxing on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm a happy man, you know? It's all about what you want to stay home for. Technique, Telka, shout out to the moms. Exactly. Build the boxer. Shout out to the mamas. Single mamas, baby mamas. You know what I'm saying? With 5, 6 kids, you know what I'm saying? Hey, they doing it. Making bologna sandwiches. You know how moms used to do it, making them good homemade tacos with ground beef. Moms can stretch a meal. You know what I'm saying? My grandma, shout out to G-Ma. You know, she used to make 100 tortillas a Sunday. I promise you, there was 12 people in the house, or well, not in the house, but like 5 in the house. But everybody came over Sunday morning. Mom, grandma made a stack of tortillas, made the pancakes, and everybody was fed. Mom know how to stretch that dough. You understand me? I catch Zuffa after work on Monday. Well, there it is, man. I mean, we got Manny Pacquiao, Zuffa. We got Wardley Dubois. See, you guys are the boxing hardcores, man. This is the thing about boxing, is that it's just us. It's just us. You know, who the fuck else cares about Floyd Mayweather? You know, it used to be, you know, that fight, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, took over the world. Biggest fight in boxing history, which is insane. It's blowing my mind as I speak to you. It's blowing my mind how far this guy has fallen. And Zuffa Boxing on Sunday. Are you guys going to say, hey, Mom, hey, G-Ma, right, Gam, you know what? You're going to have to go to dinner on your own because I need to watch this Zuffa card. You know, Sunday's going to be for the moms, right? Morb DC, the homie. This guy knows more boxing than Frank Bay. I'm telling you. I'm willing to admit. Eileen, bitch ass, missed the weight. Yeah, leave it to Morb DC. Yeah, Morb. Hey, you know what? What's crazy is Angelo Leo. What the fuck is he thinking? Why did he even take this fight? I think it was supposed to. Was it supposed to be? I thought it was a Pro Box card, but I guess it was on the Zone. Frank Bay, the fucking casual. I didn't even know which network is on because I know Angelo Leo's beat Bernardo Lopez on Top Rank. Then he was like a Pro Box fighter, and then I believe now it's supposed to be on the Zone. Mando, Sarge Apollos, thank you. Yes, Mando, salute. You know, Mando taking care of mamas. Take mamas out, treat her good. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's your baby mama, your mama, or your G-ma, you know what I'm saying? Don't even know. Yeah, you don't know what. Yeah, I did anybody know what Leo and Aleem was supposed to be on? Because the fight's off. They said the card is still going on. I don't know if it'll be televised, but it's supposed to go on. And the Zone, you know, BDA said it earlier. I didn't even look, man. I'm not gonna pretend. I'm not gonna pretend with y'all. Fabio, he had to tell me that it was pay-per-view. So, are we all gonna be watching on pay-per-view Saturday morning? What happened to Lopez? I'm gonna drop the link in a little bit. Don't worry, guys. If you want the link now, I'll talk to you. Hit a 1. What happened to Bernardo? He had a brain bleed, and I believe he's been having comebacks in Mexico or something like that. So yeah, Angelo Leo, but I mean, the guy's a champion. You'd think he'd make bank. He should fight another champion, and he's fighting Aleem Duck, same as Hitchens. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I would say the same because Aleem should be fighting for the belt, but I mean, the guy, I mean, what are you thinking? You know, look, man, Aleem, I never was high on him. He was kind of a back foot bitch. Venado been fighting. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But on obscure cards, Aleem and Kazuma, the 2 weigh-in clowns today. So 2 guys blew weight. Venado has been more active than Leo, which is crazy, right? That's boxing for you, you know? That's life, pal. You got a brain bleed, you shouldn't fight? Fuck it, I'm gonna fight. That's life, pal. That's boxing, man. I mean, look, man, that's how they eat. That's how they live. That's how they got to get it. So I don't blame. Look, Manny Pacquiao is fighting again. Manny Pacquiao. But here's the thing. Is it a real fight? Does anybody know yet? Because I'm on Twitter. I'm on X. You know, YouTube. Obviously, I'm on YouTube, social media. Does anybody know if it's a real fight? They haven't said yet. Leo has to satisfy his mandatory and get stripped. I understand that, but fuck that shit, man. He should have got a big payday. Why is he fighting another kind of mid-tier fight? He's been once you get the belt, you should unify and get, you know, a few $100,000. I mean, how much can he really be making fighting a mid-level card on the Zone obscurely? And knew he should fight Hernandez next, don't you think, Blight? Yeah, you know what I'm seeing that Robert Garcia. Thank you for telling me. There's some, you know, that you guys are the show, man. You guys are the show. Because Inui's, what I seen, did you guys see that as well? That Inui said he's not fighting till next year. Now it seems like there's some interference. People are saying that Bam needs to fight Nakatani, or no, Rudy Hernandez, Nakatani's trainer, put that out. Somebody correct me, you know. But something's going on with that fight. Shot thinks he's tough. He's just I have no idea what that means. 126 don't have paydays. Yeah, look, man, it does, but nobody's willing to pay. Ain't nobody willing to put up the money for those fights when they might not generate the money back. You know, I seen El Divino Espinoza is rumored to fight Figueroa on the Mexican versus the World, but then Figueroa's putting out other news. So, look, man, those guys, they need to play more strategic than anybody, you know. Those guys, they change belts like hot potatoes, right? It's hot potatoes down there. Angelo Leo was, you know, he beat Venado, hasn't fought since. It's hot potato down at those weight classes, you know? But, yeah, man, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao is official. It is official. But does anybody care? Look, the good thing is that we don't have to pay for it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. We luckily, it's on Netflix and we don't have to pay for it. But let me ask you this. This is what I speculated. And I'm going to say it now because, and this is why I do it. This is why I do it. The sole reason I come on YouTube, I go on X, you know, I'm working my way to Instagram, TikTok, not really there yet. But the sole reason I do it is because I want the record. I really do. What I pride with Frank Bay Boxing, what I try to do, does anybody want the link? You tired of me talking? What I want to do is have a record of what I say. I don't know. I'm just I want you guys to be critical of me, to say, Frank, man, you got that shit wrong, or damn, Frank, you got that shit right. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking about the other day. I'm like, you know what, man? I'm really torn between Zayas and Jaron Ennis because I don't front with you guys. Like, I'm rooting for Xander Zayas. But then I'm like, damn, man, I think Jaron Ennis is going to win the fight. You understand what I'm saying? But I want to be able to, like, I try to do my best to tell you guys what's going to happen. Like, hey, man, I think this move is going to happen. You know, look at Canelo Alvarez. Look at what Benavidez. That's why I'm so interested in this Benavidez situation. As you can see, hopefully I'm okay with this. Top ranked Castillo, one of the best fights ever. Probably the best fight I've ever seen. Castillo Corrales. Not to switch gears, but this is the greatest fight of all time, in my opinion. If you guys got a better fight, this was the anniversary, I believe, yesterday. But if you guys can name a better fight, please tell me. But I had this argument with Budholes, you know, Bud Crawford lovers, right? I said, name me one Crawford fight you remember where there was a classic. They said, oh, Gamboa was a classic, Spence was a classic. I said, bro, those are not classic fights. What you're watching, what you're seeing in front of you, that's a classic fight. It's fight that people remember, the people that watch day in and day out, that they can go revisit. And nobody could tell me otherwise. You can't tell me one Bud Crawford fight that there was a classic. I'm sorry, you just can't. You just can't. But does anybody know if Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather is a legit, real fight? That's the interesting thing, is that they haven't said. What do you guys think? And I said this before. I said, you know what? It has to be a Floyd Mayweather show, man. He's going to have a 50-foot ring, 16-ounce gloves. He's going to have his favorite referee, Kenny Bayless. I believe that was Floyd Mayweather's choice of referee. And he's going to have Mason Cameron as the judges, you know. And, you know, poor Manny Pacquiao, man. It doesn't look like he's really going to have any say. It looks like he might get screwed again. But, hey, that's life, pal. You know, they both need the money. You know, Manny Pacquiao. They used to say Manny Pacquiao was broke. You know, the reality is one of the reasons Manny Pacquiao didn't fight in the States is because he had tax problems. I don't know if you guys remember that. Morb DC says, Fundora, Virgil, or Crawford could have been a classic-ass whooping. Oh. Fundora or Virgil versus Crawford could have been a classic-ass whooping. And Morb, do you mean by Fundora or Virgil whooping Crawford's ass? Look, man, I mean, ideally, it sounds good. It sounds good. It sounds good for people to say, oh, well, this is the reaction the Crawford fans had of why he was never in a classic. They said, well, he was just better than everybody. Crawford was just that much better. Nobody could compete with them. I said, yeah, you know what? That almost would convince me. I said, but you know, you take the legends, Duran, Leonard, I mean, Ali, any legend you can think of, Oscar, Tito Trinidad, they fought guys that they were underdogs with, that had size advantage, that were bigger, longer, and stronger than them. Both Virgil and Fundora would have whipped Crawford's ass. I mean, it could have happened, but we'll never know. You know what I'm saying? Now Crawford would have been the favorite, but we'll never know because he didn't take the risk. All the legends of the past took risks. They stepped in the ring against people that beat them. They took losses because they took on guys that had the hunger and the desire. You know, those are the that's what makes a legend, right? You look at the Rocky movies. Was Rocky could have played it safe, and then he fought guys that beat his ass, and then you come back and beat their ass. But what people want to see is you put it all online. You coming back. You know, the legends that I grew up on, that my uncles grew up on, Barrera, Morales, Marquez, they all took losses. They got their ass whooped. But then they bounced back, came back, became champions again, lost again, came back, became champions. But there's fights you can go watch from Morales, Barrera, and Marquez, and their legendary fights. You know, go look at it. HBO had a special, Legendary Nights. What legendary nights are you ever going to see of Terrence Crawford? I don't think there's one that you could point to. Maybe Earl Spence just because of the backstory. But there's no Terrence Crawford fight that you would look at and say, hey, man, I'm going to watch that 100 times. I can literally tell you there's fights that I've watched maybe 20 times, 30 times in my life. You know, with Diego Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo being one of them. So I dropped the link, hit the like. Let me know what you think. Are you excited for Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather? Is that a fight you want to see? You know, are we talking about the news, Dubois, Wardley, Benavidez and Usyk, or Benavidez' next opponent? You know, we want to break that down. So I'll circle back to Benavidez. Now, like I said before, man, Benavidez is the most. He has to be, other than Devin Haney and Shakir Twitterson, he has to be the most polarizing figure, right? Benavidez has his fan base, but is his fan base just Canelo haters, or does he have genuine fans? You know, Canelo Alvarez has his fan base locked in. When Canelo Alvarez comes back, it's going to be bigger than anything Benavidez could ever do. Wait, look, man, Frank Bay is going to keep it 1,000 on every side, whether it's Benavidez' side, Canelo's side, Devin Haney, whoever you want to talk about. Morb DC, Daniel Blancas was impressive on the Benavidez Zurdo undercard. You know, I don't know if I caught that. I just caught Lucero getting his ass beat. But back to Benavidez. Benavidez has to be the most polarizing figure currently in boxing. There are a lot of content creators that are bashing David Benavidez. You know, I have the arguments with David Benavidez currently. Oh, Frank, you're supporting Benavidez. You got his back. I'm like, you know, they say he's ducking Joe Pataya, he's ducking Dimitri Bivol. You know, especially with it. Look, Frank Bate, I understand the things that David Benavidez is saying is not a good look. And I don't know if David Benavidez understands that. You know, whether it's like, look, man, the begging of Canelo Alvarez, that's not a good look. Still calling out Canelo Alvarez, it's not a good look. Oh, Blanca says Benavidez stablemate. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's tall, rangy. Okay, yeah. He should have got rid of that guy, but he didn't, you know. It's a work in progress, like Diego Pacheco. Benavidez pops talking about waiting out Jai. Well, let's break it down. This is what I do, what I want to do, what I intend to do, and what I'm okay with people talking shit about. The link is in the chat. Hit the like. Let's break it down. Benavidez. Where's Benavidez at right now? Benavidez is at the top. Is he the face of boxing? You know, people are going as far as saying he's the face of boxing. Now, I'm not going to call him the face of boxing, but I think he's the face of boxing now. I think the beating of Zurdo Ramirez puts him at the top. He's on a short list of fighters that people know. You know, you got Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, David Benavidez. I would put David Benavidez over Bam Rodriguez as far as pound, where people know. Benavidez, number 3, pound for pound. That's where I have him. People didn't like it. Benavidez is better than Roy Jones and Michael Speaks. Yeah, I seen that too. People were saying, "Oh, Roy Jones still kicks Benavidez' ass." It's like, look, man. I mean, Roy Jones had his faults as well. But we gotta pump the brakes on David Benavidez, right? We still gotta pump the brakes because it's not looking good, man. His slandering of Joe Apataya, he's with Zuffa. It's not a good look. I gotta tell you, man, it's looking fugazi, man. I mean, he's saying he was Zuffa. People are saying they could still make the fight. I don't know. It seems a little. What's the word to say? For show. It seems like Benavidez is aware what the fans think, and he's putting on a show. Now, I wouldn't go as far as say to duck Joe Apataya, but to downplay Joe Apataya. Then there's Dimitri Bivol. Morb DC says Roy Jones, Doug Dares, Mr. Sessi, and Granano Rigachi. Yeah, I remember you saying that. That's a timeline I have to go back and see, but Roy Jones had his faults, man. He had his faults like any other fighter. But look, everything will play out in due time, right? I mean, that's how boxing works. As fans, we want the fights now. That's a crazy thing, right? As fans, it's like, man, we want the fights now. We demand them now. And that's never going to happen, bro. As fans, all we could do is argue. We can argue with each other. We can fight online. We can be like me, come online and rant and rave. But it's never going to amount to anything. Shout out Meta Frank. Thank you, BDA. Great show this morning, man. You and Sobers were flambeing. I know you don't like the word cooking. The link is in the chat. But the meta is, last time actually we spoke, that I spoke about a meta in boxing. And maybe I'll break it down because I think it applies to this Benavidez Usyk situation. Maybe some people do not understand what the meta is. The meta is sort of like, this is interesting. I don't know. I need help on this, but I'm going to do my best to explain it to you. Bear with me. Okay. Benavidez won't fight any of them. Sergeant Apollos. Ja Apataya is the lineal champion at cruiserweight. He is. So Usyk and Benavidez, fantasy or reality? But let's get back, the meta. This was a tweet I had said because it just popped into my mind, right? In other sports, there's really no arguments. I mean, you could argue about your team. If you listen to sports talk radio, you can call in and argue about your team, whether it's baseball or football or, I don't know, people follow soccer. Those are team sports. And they have salary caps and signings and free agency, and the players are always moving. And that's what the fans argue about, right? But you can never argue about who's the best because it's a league. They have tournaments. They have Super Bowls. They have World Series. So the best is always known. Morb DC says Usyk versus Benavidez is a fantasy fight. Well, Morb DC, I'm trying to speak it into existence. Right, as they say, manifest it. But that's what makes boxing unique is that we can talk boxing for hours. If you listen to other sports, they can go for an hour or two, but there's not much length because the best is the best, the winner's the winner, and you can't argue that. But in boxing, what makes boxing unique is that we can knock Benavidez for becoming unified champion. I can knock Bud Crawford for being undisputed. I mean, we can literally break down these guys' careers to the T. And it creates for a lot of fan engagement and arguments, right? But the meta, with the meta, and this is this could be a thesis, right? Anybody listening in college, this could be a thesis for you. The meta has to do with what is the line between fans and the players, or the let's call them actors. The Turk says David Diabetes gonna talk about fighting Usyk, Canelo, Bivol, etc. for the next 8 months, then fight Badu Jack or something. And that could happen. That could happen, the Turk. Hit the like, subscribe, share, hit the link. But in this universe, right? Whatever entertainment it is, whether it's actors, athletes, right? We believe there's a line. We believe there's a line, like they exist in their, we want to believe that athletes exist in their own universe. We want to believe, we have this belief that they're doing the best for the sport, right? That they look at the fans as, oh, they're just fans. They don't really know. I believe we want to believe that they believe that. Well, but what the meta does is it means that the actors and the athletes, they break the fourth wall, that they actually interact with the fans. I believe David Benavidez Sr., the dad, sub Frank, what's up, observe conscious awareness, which is fitting for this conversation. Hit the like. Yeah, thank you. Hit the like, mofos. Don't be a hater. You know, we don't want to believe athletes and actors live in our world, right? We're the common folk. we're the observers. We're the casual observers, right? And they are the actors, the athletes. They exist in a special universe and realm, right? We want to believe that they do it for the greater good. If you watch all those superhero movies before the meta became the meta, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm just like somebody, comment if you understand what I'm saying. I need somebody to say that you understand where I'm going with this. Somebody help me. But I'll continue. Hopefully I'm not losing people with this ideal train of thought theory. But David Benavidez is a perfect example of it. Keep going, Frank. Okay. Somebody gets it. And I don't expect people to get it. I may have lost it. I'm following. Okay. Somebody is. But what it means is we don't want our athletes to listen to the crowd. We don't want them to start listening to us. We want to believe that they are following their own path and they're going for the highest amount of glory. But what I'm seeing now, and if you watch these new superhero movies or Scream, I just was watching Scream, perfect example of a horror movie. That's a meta horror movie because the actors are breaking the fourth wall and they're speaking to the crowd. They're telling people, oh, you watch horror movies, but they're giving the outline of what a horror movie is. And that's what makes Scream, Deadpool, these superhero movies, what is it, Guardians of the Galaxy? That's what makes those movies funny, interesting, is because they're explaining the actual mythology of the horror movie or the superhero movie. And the fans become a part of the show. So now with social media, YouTube, Twitter, the fans have become a part of the show. David Benavidez Sr., he listens to these podcasts. He hears what we're saying and he goes in, and now David Benavidez is talking about, job ties with Zuffa, so we can't make the fight. That's meta. That's him having a convenient way of saying, well, we don't know if that fight can happen. And if you listen to these fighters talk, Shakur Twitterson, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, they listen. They're on these podcasts. They're listening to everybody. And they're taking the narratives that the fans talk about, and they're basically telling us what we're talking about. And that therein is the meta. They're breaking the fourth wall. They're listening. And I don't think, and that's not a good thing. More DC. It's ironic that Shakur and Haney and fanboys are calling Benavidez a weight bully. Again, this is the meta. When have we ever heard fighters do this? When have we ever seen or heard fighters say these things? We haven't. We don't want to hear these things. We just want them to come in, say, hey, I'm doing my best. I'm going to fight the best. You know, I'm going for the champion. And that's all we want to hear. When you listen to actual NFL, Major League Baseball, you know, they're very cut and dry. They're very cookie cutter. They don't go into personal anecdotes or stories, right? David beats Usyk. Damn. Mystic Mirage. Whoa, the legend himself. He's been MIA. You know, but I don't think we want our damn, already heat. Every time BDA comes in, he gets heat. What's up with the hate for Benavidez? Again, David Benavidez brings it upon himself. Homie acting like a straight weenie. Who? Benavidez? Canelo? You know, this is the example of the meta, man. We got two sides, man. We got two sides. The Benavidez fans, the Canelo fans, and everybody else in between. You know, this is the nature. The Frank Beta is meta now. I think Frank Bay is meta. I'm plugged in. I told him, I said, you know, I don't want to be plugged into the meta, the metaverse. BDA says boxing is like avant-garde theater in which the actors involve the fans into the performance. You know what? That you hit the nail on the head. That's interesting, right? Is that now? That's not burlesque, right? Well, right. Avant-garde theater, right? It's catharsis, but on a meta level, where the fans are in on a joke, and the actors are interacting with the fans, and the fans are the joke. Fans of neither, but Benavidez beats Canelo all day, every day. Well, I'm here to break it down of what Benavidez is really up to. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, man, whatever Benavidez does, he's not going to get any credit. You know, if he fights Dimitri Bivol, he's ducking Jai Bataya. If he fights Jai Bataya, he's ducking Dimitri Bivol. What I ask you guys, if you go to my page, I made a post. Hit the like. I want you guys to comment. Let's play manager. Let's play manager, right? You know, because look, at the end of the day, we're not going to get the fight that we want. I think that's pretty obvious. At the end of the day, most of these fights that we want, they're not going to happen, or they're not going to happen when we want it. That's happened in boxing historically. You know, it's crazy to think, man. Fans think that promoters and managers are going to give us the fights that we want, as if that they're not investments. These fighters, they're investments. The promoters pump. That's their investment. It's like anything, right? When you get something, you protect it. When you buy a ring, when you buy a watch, when you buy a car, you know what's the craziest thing? I always hated having a new car. Imagine having a new car, right? Weren't you looking for every dent, every scratch? Remember that first month you were just paranoid about everything? You know, you looked under the car, oh, I heard something, you know, or I thought somebody hit my car. You know what I'm saying? These fighters are investments. Fighters are going to do what's best for their pockets. Sergeant says Bivol can come up to cruiser for David, already talking about moving up. In my opinion, Benavidez is the face of boxing. ATM, at the moment. I wish we could get that's a great fantasy matchup, right? But also the Benavidez credit is that he's in between a rock and a hard place. If you really break it down, if you really think about it. Now, again, he does himself no favors. He's talking about Dimitri Bivol, come up to my weight. You're doing yourself no favors. You're telling the fans that will jeopardize with Zuffa. Doing yourself no favors. You're talking about Alexander Usyk, maybe 5 years. Doing yourself no favors. But he's really in between a rock and a hard place, right? Because no matter who he fights, the fans are going to be critical. I mean, he's getting lambasted for calling out Canelo Alvarez. Hit the like. The link is in the chat. Subscribe, share. And it's a weird, good, bad thing. This is a unique, good, weird, bad thing. See if you follow me. David Benavidez has a weird, good, bad situation. It's like, it's great because he's in the driver's seat. He's really going to get to choose between Joe Battaglia, Dimitri Bivol, Alexander Usyk. I don't think Canelo's a realistic option. And maybe Artur Beterbiev, right? But Benavidez is in the driver's seat because he's going to have his pick. But the bad side, the downside, is that no matter who he picks, he's going to get called a duck. If he picks Dimitri Bivol, he's ducking Joe Battaglia. If he picks Joe Battaglia, he's ducking Dimitri Bivol. Right? So Frank Bay, using his logic, my flawed logic, whatever you want to call it, hit the like. I think there's only one choice. If it's at all possible. I want this to happen. When I really think about it, I think David Benavidez, go fight Alexander Usyk. Silence everybody. If you fight Alexander Usyk, all the Usyk and Bivol talk goes away. Amor DC, Edwin De Los Santos is fighting Rayo Valenzuela. Yeah, I seen that. That's a good fight. Rayo deserves his rematch. The first one was a banger. Canelo might retire next year. You know what? It's not a given he gets by Christian and Billy. So I'm thinking, man, if David Benavidez, right? He has all these options on the table. The only option, the only fight to make, when I first seen everything, after the win, I said, oh, it's Joe Battaglia. But it's not the business fight, right? Benavidez, Joe Battaglia, business-wise, this is what makes boxing the business more than a sport. Dimitri Bivol is the in my opinion, is the more appealing money fight. If I had to pick between Canelo Alvarez, Artur Beterbiev, Joe Battaglia, and Alexander Usyk, I think logically it would have to be Dimitri Bivol, right? And the only reason being because he beat Canelo Alvarez. That's pretty much the only reason now, right? But what's the downsides of that? You're going to get shit for ducking Joe Battaglia, right? You're moving down in weight. Or now he's asking Dimitri Bivol to move up. You're not going to get credit for that. Like, we know this is inside the mind of a boxing fan, right? Inside the mind of a boxing fan. We are extremely critical. I'd give you this, man. We can find a way to hate and discredit anybody and everybody. We can find a way to give credit. The link is in the chat. It's crazy that both Canelo and Benavidez are the youngest champions at 154 and 168. That's also matchmaking. Canelo got it against Matthew Hatton, right? That's kind of my premise, or my what do you say? My statement, my boxing statement. Matchmaking plays a big deal in these situations. Who did Benavidez become a champion against? Was it Porky Medina? Oh, man, that's boxing, man. You know, this is why we do it, though. And We have 4 belts. So do we ever truly know who the champion is? But look, when you look at David Benavidez' situation, and I'm trying to break it down as best as I can, give the pros and cons to fighting each person on the list, right? So at the top of the list, number 1, because number 1A would be Alexander Usyk, right? But right now, it's fantasy. Alexander Usyk, you look at the screen, he's entertaining it. He didn't say it's a no. He said it's a definite maybe. That's the fight that I want. And I want to keep saying it and get the drums rolling. Now, people said, Frank, man, you're delusional, right? You're delusional. It's a fantasy fight. I said, well, you know what? If you guys remember, Canelo and Bud Crawford, that was considered a fantasy fight at one time. Canelo said no. Never going to happen. Benavidez should fight Noel Michelini next for unification. And more, in a perfect world, that's what Benavidez would do, but he would get roasted until the crows come up, right? Or the roosters come up. I forget the saying. I mean, look, if it was Shakira Stevenson or Devin Haney, they can fight whoever. Tank Davis can fight whoever, and they get credit. Doesn't matter. But Benavidez fighting that guy, even for a belt unification, you'll never hear the end of it. But let's look at the list. Number 1, Alexander Usyk. That's my number 1. You guys can tell me. I think that's the best option. But it's a fantasy, so maybe it's not an option. 1B would be Ja Bataya. But look at the reality. Let's look at the reality. Ja Bataya's, and you guys can hate Frank Bay for saying it. You can, you could think whatever. The link is in the chat. Tell me. I'm not saying David's scared, but it don't make no sense. That guy's the most dangerous opponent that David Benavidez could face. Ja Bataya is the most dangerous for probably the lower pay. Just right now. People are saying, well, they can make the fight, the Turkey card. Well, Turkey Ali hasn't asked for that. Turkey Ali, he asked for Alexander Usyk. And somebody brought up something interesting about that. But 1B, 1A, Alexander Usyk, but we could put that in a fantasy category. Not realistic. 1B is Ja Apataya. But out of Bivol, Apataya, Canelo, and Beterbiev, Ja Apataya is the most dangerous. But it's boxing. He don't really bring nothing. That's just the reality. Look, man, Ja Apataya brings nothing. Morb DBC says Ja Apataya struggled against OAS Martis Bradis. Yeah, didn't he get his jaw broke? If Usyk decides to fight Cabell, will people claim he dug Benavidez? No, I mean, look, man, as far as Usyk, I just needed to hear a maybe. When Canelo Crawford was being mentioned, it was a fantasy fight. Canelo shot it down ASAP. Usyk didn't shoot it down. So, I mean, like I'm saying, there's a chance, But right now, I'll put it in the fantasy category. But Ja Apataya, man, that's probably second. Well, no. Canelo's, Usyk is more realistic than a Canelo fight. Right? Let me know. I was thinking about it. I'm like, what? We're calling Usyk the fantasy fight, but what's more fantastical, Usyk or Canelo? If we had to think about right now, the more fantasy fight is Canelo Alvarez. That fight seems like it'll never happen. Usyk is more possible. An Usyk fight is more possible than a Canelo Alvarez fight at this point in time. So going off that, Joe Pataya doesn't seem like a logical opponent. Who's Munguia next opponent? It seems like Carlos Adames is trying to get that fight. Chitlin Distributor, thank you. Canelo is a real Mexican. That's why Benavidez hates him. Look, man. I mean, people pick sides. People draw their lines in the sand, and I love it. You know, it's all about the fans, man. It's all about the fandom. We got the Benavidez side. We got the Opataya side. We got the Bivol side. Everybody's picked their sides, man, and it's just interesting. It's fun to break it down, and hopefully, you respect my breakdown and what I'm trying to tell you guys and how to look at it. You know, Benavidez stops Usyk next year, not today. It would probably happen next year. That's a good point. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, man, these guys only fight once a year anyway, if you look at their track record. So Joe Opataya, how realistic is it? It's not looking good. It's not looking good. And David Benavidez has a built-in excuse. Well, he's with Zuffa. Very smart. Very smart. Look, that is a masterful chess move by David Benavidez. And people will say, man, Frank, what, you're condoning it? See, people mistake me telling you what's going to happen, what could happen, and what's a smart move to condoning it. Oh, you condone that bitch shit? Bro, telling you what's smart and what's a good move is not condoning anything. It's telling you the moves that the players are making. You know, one of the things in boxing, it's a magic show, right? It's a magic show. They convinced us that Benavidez, Zurdo Ramirez, right? That's the selling. They're selling us the fight. It was a epic matchup. He beat a Mexican unified champion. But then we reveal, we take the makeup off and we see all the flaws. So, Zurdo Ramirez, he was talking about retirement. He started at 168. So we can undress the pig, right? And we can see the flaws. We can see the thorns in the rose. But that's what we do. We can break it down. I can say Benavidez is in the driver's seat. He has the options. He's the money man. But Joe Opataya wouldn't be smart. Don King moving Mikalelian great. Hey, as long as he gets paid, right? So we can look at Benavidez and say, hey, man, we want you to fight Joe Opataya, but I understand. I understand the moves he's making. But what he has to understand is not a good look. Mirage, if you want good comedy, listen to BA Fight Prediction stream for the David fight. Mirage, man. You know what? You were MIA before the fight because I think you were shook. Look, nobody Mirage, the thing is, you should have came on and said that before, that you predicted destruction. Didn't see you before that. But I appreciate you being here. Hit the like. But you gotta call it beforehand. So speaking of David Benavidez, hit the like, hit the link, subscribe, share. Benavidez is making a smart move by downplaying Joe Opataya because some of it is true. I predicted on this stream late stoppage. No, you didn't come on here. Mirage always watching Frank Bay's show. Maybe he's the one that's always hitting dislike. He can't deny it. Chitlin Distributor. Look, man, anything said is good. Frank Bay, that's right. That's right, mofo. You got to do it beforehand. You got to call it before it happens, not after it happens. Right? People come in and call it after the fact. Like, no. We don't do that here. Liar, mentiroso, right? Hey, people need their clout. Let give him his shine, right? What is the saying that the sun shines on a dog's ass once a day or something like that? Somebody help me with that saying. Now let's look at Dimitri Bivol for David Benavidez. David is at what is he supposed to do? You know, people are saying that PBC has no money. Can that fight happen? It doesn't look possible. Now, Dimitri Bivol is playing hardball. He's not being offered enough. And who does David Benavidez have that is willing to pay? Dimitri Bivol would probably be a better fight than Joe Battaglia because Joe Battaglia is dangerous. Not only is Joe Battaglia dangerous, he provides. He probably would beat David Benavidez. I would favor Joe Battaglia over David Benavidez. Dimitri Bivol is the target. See, Mystic Mirage, Bivol's pricing himself out. Well, see, that's the problem. That's the problem is that you're a David Benavidez fan. You can't be objective. We gotta wait and see. See, this is all part of the show. All these talks, all these negotiations, all these back and forths, it's all part of the show. You know, I'm learning that. As I go along in boxing, right? Because you can follow boxing, you can talk boxing, but it's different when you're in the metaverse, in YouTube, in Twitter, in X, and you see all the opinions, all the talking heads, and it's like, man, what is going on? My head is spinning. Dimitri Bivol is pricing himself out. It's like, bro, that's just an opinion. That's one person putting that out there. Do we know that's the reality? Do we know what the asking price is? Do we know who the promoter is? Like we have very little information. BDA says Bradley and Andre Durrell are picking Bivol to beat Benavidez. I guess the hyperbole died down. Is that what happened? Yeah, I've seen a lot of people picking Benavidez. This kid Frankie spit none but facts. Thank you, Chillins. Freakalino. I'm just trying to break it down for you guys, man. I'm not trying to be a Benavidez fanboy. I'm not trying to be a Canelo fanboy, a Joe Battaglia hipster, a Dimitri Bivol hipster. It's really weighing the pros and cons of where we're at. I'm trying to speak Usyk and Benavidez into existence. And, you know, people said, you're foolish. It's fantasy. And I may be. But sometimes I like to live in fantasy. You know what I'm saying? Life is boring in reality, right? Reality sucks. I think that's a movie. Reality sucks. You know, we need a little fantasy, a little imagination to get us through the day. You know, we need to believe that something's possible, right? That tomorrow's going to be better than today. So I'm going to lean into this. I'm leaning into Usyk Benavidez. I want to see this fantasy fight become reality. Frank sounded like John Lennon. I may be a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Yeah, yeah, man. I'm on my fanboy shit. You know, I'm losing my objectivity and basis in reality. Right? I want to be the truth sayer, reality sayer, and then I'm like, you know what? Sometimes Benzo KOs Usyk. Sometimes it's like, you know what? That's boring. Let's step into the wild side. Isn't that another song? Walk on the wild side. Is that the Doors? My dad played that constantly. Take a walk on the wild side. Yeah, man. I mean, shit, man. You can't be milquetoast every day. You can't be, you know, toe the line every day. You know, I can give you the news, but is that interesting? We need some flavor in your ear. This is the one. This is the one. Because, and the reason I'm saying that is because I'm telling you, this is the only fight to make. Because if David Benavidez fights Joe Battaglia, he's ducking Bivol. If he fights Dimitri Bivol, he's ducking Joe Battaglia. You know, and the Benavidezes, they say a lot of things that just is not a good look. You know, chasing Canelo Alvarez, not a good look. Saying that Joe Battaglia's bazooka gonna be hard to make, it's not a good look. It could be real, but it's not. Excuse me, it's not a good look. look, man, I'm speaking this Alexander Usyk, David Benavidez into existence. I think this is the fight that needs to happen. This would be a mega event. This is another thing that it came across my mind. I'm going to say this, and you guys might all hang up or disconnect or whatever you think. Alexander Usyk versus David Benavidez is a bigger fight than Canelo Alvarez, David Benavidez. Hit a 1 if you agree. Hit a 0 if it's Frank. You're losing it. You're in La La Land. David Benavidez versus Alexander Usyk would be a bigger fight than Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez. And here's my thought. Today, yes. Chitlin, wow, somebody fucking agrees with me. I was like, man, this shit is not gonna go over well. Maybe I'm really stretching here. Agreed, damn. Sean Anthony. So I got 2 yeses. Now I need a no. BDA says, yeah, we need fights, more fights like Canelo Crawford. You're starting to convince me, Frankie. Let's see Benavidez versus Usyk. Now I don't know if you're saying that because we're homeboys, we're friends, and you just want to make me feel better, or you actually, I'm convincing you. But let me say it. Alexander Usyk, David Benavidez is a bigger fight than Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez. And here's my execution, my example. David Benavidez, Canelo Alvarez is North American. It's a massive fight. It's a big fight. But it's North American friendly. You got a Mexican American and a Mexican. Now we're talking about David Benavidez, a Mexican, Ecuadorian, North American from the States, versus Alexander Usyk, an Eastern European who beat Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Right? A heavyweight, the heavyweight champion of the world. I want to say he's undisputed, but he's not undisputed, right? That's global. You have Canelo Alvarez, David Benavidez, North American, big fight, but globally similar. Don't say I said it's the same. Similar to Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. You have, the East and the West. East meets West, right? There's nothing bigger. It's a global event. Imagine David Benavidez versus the heavyweight champion of the world, undisputed, Alexander Usyk, on a Netflix special. That's global. That captures the imagination of the world. Benavidez, Canelo Alvarez, that's boxing. That's our Super Bowl. But David Benavidez, Alexander Usyk, in a global event, an Eastern European from the other side of the world versus a North American Mexican kid trying to make it big. I think it's a bigger fight. I think it captures the imagination of the world, not just boxing, but the world. And let it be on Netflix. Can you guys name a bigger fight? Name a bigger fight than Alexander Usyk and David Benavidez. Right now, quick. Name a bigger fight. The only fight that comes to my mind off the top of my head is maybe Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. But again, with that fight, yeah, it's a big fight, but it's mostly it's a European fight. It's a UK fight. The Americas, yeah, we'll be interested, but it wouldn't be the level of Tyson Lewis, where you have North America and, the other side of the world. Alexander Usyk and David Benavidez is bigger than Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez. It just is. It's a bigger fight. I think it captures the imagination of everybody. Don't push the horses. What the hell does that even mean? Jivers, David. Hawker, and I'm breaking it down for you. Love or to hate it, But it just doesn't make sense for Benavidez. It just doesn't make sense business wise. It's too dangerous for not the same amount of money it would be Dimitri Bivol. Now they say, Frank, it's a fantasy. I said, okay, here's my other part. Turkey Ali is the one that wanted this fight. He gave Teofimo Lopez $10 million, Shakur Stevenson $12 million reportedly. He gave Devin Haney reportedly $12 million, $13 million for Brian Norman. Now I'm thinking Canelo and Billy might be bigger. Well, the card, Mexico versus the world, will be big. But Benavidez Usyk on Netflix, I would think that might have to top it. But let's say Turkey Al-Sheikh, right? Because it would be hard to convince me that David Benavidez would take this fight. It's extremely dangerous, right? Alexander Usyk he's the best in the world. It would be extremely foolish and dangerous of David Benavidez to take this fight. But if Turkey Al-Sheikh, he comes and he says, David, I give you 25 million. 25 million. Oh, okay. I give you 30. 40. 50 million. Turkey Al-Sheikh could throw David Benavidez. That's what he gave Terrence Crawford, right? 25. It was reported 25. Then I heard 50. If David Benavidez is offered 25 or 50 million by Turkey Al-Sheikh, can he really turn that down? I don't think so. I don't think David Benavidez can turn down that kind of money. If Turkey Al-Sheikh were to come and offer that type of money, I mean, that's generational wealth, right? There's no way that David Benavidez can turn that down. So when I think about these things, I'm thinking, man, everything is pointed towards this fight. And again, I'm speaking it into existence. I'm trying to convince the people, to convince anybody listening that this is the fight to make. And again, they say, Frank, you're delusional. It's a fantasy. I said, man, Turkey Al-Sheikh is the one that put it out there. He's the man with the money and the power. He made Canelo Crawford happen when it was a fantasy. Oh, don't push the horses. What Usyk said, he got knocked out by a horse cake when he was a kid. I still don't know what that means. Kick. So this is the perfect time for David Benavidez, right? Perfect timing. Alexander Usyk. You know, it's not like David Benavidez is fighting one of the giants. He's not fighting Anthony Joshua, 6'9" Tyson Fury. He's fighting a former cruiserweight. You know, it was brought to my attention that David Benavidez would be just one of many light heavyweights and cruiserweights that went up to heavyweight and fought. You know, Roy Jones is the latest example, or the best example, or the example that people use. But he didn't fight the champion. You know, he fought a guy, John Ruiz, who was a belt holder. David Benavidez will be fighting the champion. But the caveat is that Alexander Usyk is a former cruiserweight. It makes all the sense in the world. You know, it's not like he's going up to fight one of the giants. He learned not to push horses. Okay. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know what it means in relation to this. But if I'm Alexander Usyk, I think, yeah, of course, I take this fight in a heartbeat if I'm getting paid massive amounts of money. Absolutely fight David Benavidez. The only problem is, does he get any credit? Does he get any credit for fighting David Benavidez? But with enough money, I don't think it matters, right? I don't think it matters. In my humble opinion, I think this is the only fight to make. But David Benavidez is saying a lot of things in a lot of places, and a lot of them are not a good look. You know, it doesn't look, honestly, it looks like I have no idea who's going to fight. He's downplaying Dimitri Bivol. He's downplaying Ja Bataya. He's calling out Canelo Alvarez. He hasn't really commented on Alexander Usyk except for maybe 5 years. But I'm just really commenting on, this fight is fantasy or reality. So with that, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you, hanging out on a Friday. Gotta run, but let me get some shots out. Hawker Mustang, Sean Anthony, Chitlin Distributor, BDA, Morb DC. Who else? Stone Cold. Hit the like, hit subscribe. Just a quick Friday live. The best I could do. Come on. Observe consciousness. Hit the like, subscribe, share, and leave some comments. What do you think Benavidez should do? I made a post, weigh the pros and cons. Impala, technique. I think it's Telk. Telk is in there, right? Good show. Thank you. I'm doing my best. When I can get in here and holler at you guys. So, yeah, man, Floyd Mayweather announced his fight. The Aleem fight is off. Fabio Wardley, Dubois is tomorrow. So, yeah, tune in. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Sorry. Peace.